Now, UKIP is set to launch its own campaign for a no vote in the EU referendum rather than joining one of the two existing no campaigns. The party's leader, Nigel Farage, joins us from the Severn Bridge in south-east Wales right now. Nigel Farage, very good morning to you. I'm sure you'll explain why you're close by the Severn Bridge very shortly.
Good morning.
But good morning to you. But on this question of the no campaign that UKIP's launching, you're not pitching in with the others. That'll be three campaigns, divided, not united, with a divided message. That's not going to be helpful to your cause.
No, not a bit. Listen, I will work with anyone and everyone to try and get a no vote in this referendum. The situation is there are two groups who are bidding and competing to be the official no campaign. They're both umbrella groups. At the moment, not one of them has been designated. And just as on the yes side, there are lots of different campaigning groups. What we in UKIP are saying is the yes side have had too much of their own way over the course of the summer. You know, barely a week goes by when we don't get Tony Blair or Lord Mandelson telling us why we must vote to stay in the European Union. And so what we're doing, as the one Eurosceptic organisation in Britain that's got tens of thousands of members and hundreds of branches, we are having our biggest ever public outreach campaign, and we will be holding a series of public meetings and leafleting through doors and street stalls, and we are going to get cracking.
And would you like UKIP to be the official no campaign, so designated?
No, that's impossible. I mean, no political party will be the official designated yes or no campaign. By definition, there needs to be an umbrella that will bring together people from the Conservative Party, UKIP, the Labour Party, and who knows from where else. So no, that would be absolutely impossible. But do I think that UKIP's got a crucial role to play in this campaign? Yes, I do. I mean, the last time the European question was properly discussed was the European elections of 2014, and we topped the poll. You know, we do go out and reach an awful lot of people. But also, crucially, I think, it's UKIP that is saying that to win this referendum, we have to confront the question of open borders, unlimited immigration, and the whole question of security. And I suspected a few months ago that other politicians who want to be in the no camp didn't really want to touch on those issues. But that, in the end, I think, is where this referendum will be won or lost.
Well, it's been a summer to some extent dominated by those images, hasn't it, of chaos at Calais and things that have been going on in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
To what extent is the focus groups, the private polling that you do, that UKIP do, what are you learning? What are you hearing from people about how they feel about that? Because quite clearly something has made you decide that immigration will be the key message for your campaigners in the no campaign for the referendum when that time comes.
Well, indeed, in April, in the middle of the general election campaign, I predicted exactly what was going to happen with the EU's common asylum policy, and that unprecedented numbers of people would come, not just this year, but if the policy stays the same, for many, many years to come. So I'm not surprised in the least about how important this is. But the most interesting polling was a piece of polling issued at the end of July by a reputable polling company that showed when people were asked, what is the most important question in British politics, 50% of respondees said immigration, open borders and security, and the economy lagged behind at 27%. So right across the country, and this, by the way, should never be thought of as being something on the centre-right. There are as many voters on the centre-left who are equally concerned about this. This is what this referendum is all about. Can we control our borders? Can we make sure we're secure, or can't we? And I think Mr Cameron now is beginning to understand that if he's not able to get back control of our borders, then the no side could find itself in a position where it could win this referendum.
What is a reasonable quota of refugees for the UK to accept? I mean, we know that, for instance, the Germans have got something like 800,000 asylum applications for the year. Angela Merkel has said she's prepared to look again at Schengen because people are not taking their fair share. What would Britain's fair share of refugees be in a given year?
We had the official immigration figures out last week, figures, by the way, that I believe underestimate considerably the numbers coming to Britain. Through legal routes last year, 650,000 people came. Goodness knows how many illegal immigrants came on top of that. We have a flood of people coming into Europe, coming into Greece, coming into Italy, and they're coming from war-torn areas. Now, if we're going to say, if Europe's going to say that if you come from a war-torn area, you qualify for refugee status, then there's a slight problem here. There are 25 million Syrians, there are 30 million people in Afghanistan, 8 million people in Eritrea. Traditionally, refugee status was given to people very often from particular religions, sects or races who were directly under persecution. And I think the EU is making a catastrophic error in saying that anyone that lands on their shores, that sets foot in Hungary or Italy or Greece, automatically can stay. I think that's a fundamental error, and I don't believe we can have an intelligent conversation about providing genuine refugee status for those that need it until we sort out these bigger problems first.
There's a story about today suggesting that Britain's population in about 30 years from now will outstrip that of Germany's. There'll be some people who recoil in horror at the thought of our island becoming more crowded. There'll be others who say, fantastic, Britain will be the great powerhouse of Europe.
Well, can I just say that our official immigration figures are now 64 million. I have reason to think it's probably more like 67 million. So the population is a lot bigger than we think at the moment anyway. OK, there are some who argue that if our population goes to 80 million and our GDP grows with that and we become the biggest economy in Europe, that's a good thing. Well, I would argue there are some things in life that matter more than whether GDP goes up a couple of pips or not. There is something called quality of life. There is something called community. There is something that recognises that already Britain is the most overcrowded country in Europe. To accommodate 80 million, we'll need massive changes to our education system, our health services, our roads and everything else. And I suspect that actually, if the population gets anywhere near that, even if we were to be a titchy-witchy little bit better off, our quality of life would decline to the extent that it wouldn't be worth doing.
And if you can tell us in 15 seconds why you are on the Severn Bridge, we'd be grateful.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we see this in other parts of the country. To get into Wales now, it's £6.50 for a car, and it's, believe it or not, £19.60 for a 3.5-ton truck. It's rather like in Wales, on the M4, there's a big sign that says we're closed for business. And on top of that, by 2018, the cost of the bridge that was built will have been paid off. It'll be right and fair to get rid of these tolls. Elections to the Welsh Assembly, I think, has got something to do with it. Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed.
15 seconds. That was wishful thinking.
25, wasn't it? At least.